Oh, by the way, it starts with an old shepherd's counting song. The Rhyme of the Red Man's Daughter. Winebury, Tardiddle, Wagtail Den, he counted as he walked, to the spring of St. Catherine which bubbles from the chalk. Yellow flag, buttercup, forget-me-not, he led his horse to grass, to drink the sharp cold that rippled near Old Cocking Pass. And there the midges and the bats were whirligigging dusk, beneath an ash tree canopy, where the minnowing stream ran past. Ragged robin, bitter cress, rushes black and bull, and the worn flints that lay below the water chuckling full. Underneath the homely ash, he built a fine campfire, and a ribbon of smoke and scattle sparks drifted higher and higher. He unhitched a tin bath from his cart, filled it from the spring, and steaming water from his kettle he lifted and poured it in. Then he picked his daughter up, his lovely poppet dear, and popped her in the piping bath, a cloud pond, still and clear. Too hot, she laughed aloud, so he stirred it round and round, and a rust-red stain washed from his hands as a memory unwound. And then she spoke, like a bright bell, like a cuckoo's voice in May, as the sun dew-lipped its afterglow at the compline of the day. I'll tell a story from my mouth, of a dream I dreamt, oh daddy dear, and the world it was a sorrow place, when child and man had sunken face, and the earth was dust and drear. From east to west, and west to east, no shred of grass would grow, and all the trees had been stripped bare, and the winds had ceased to blow. Ash and chestnut, elm and beech were lifeless standing things, and dry dead twigs were rattling like 1,000 golden rings. Every crystal chalk stream was a dust-dry ridden track, no sweet sucking from the trout pools or beaded otterback. No beasts that crawl upon the earth, no moths or butterflies, no spiders or slow pulsing worms, no birds to mark the skies. A throng of people gathered, imploring God on high, but no God was there to hear them. He'd left them by and by. Little children cried aloud through the stagnant air, asking why the world was barren, like a bone-picked bear. And their mothers and their fathers could not look them in the eye. They'd eaten every living thing that could walk or crawl or fly. Then it seemed that all the people were calling out as one, a million raw swollen tongues clacking at the sun. Who saw where she had come from? Who knew from where she came, like a green blade rising from the buried grain? I felt the earth was trembling, and like a split hillside, a giantess stood there, with barley straw for her hair as a turning tide. She stood alone amongst them, a bursting corn-sack moon, and her eyes, they had a sadness, a honeysuckle gloom. Her tears were those of one who loves, but knows of what will be, like a willow weeping quietly, like a wind-blown tree. She gathered them up gently in ones and twos and threes, and gnawed their limbs and stuffed them in. Her stump teeth chewed her gristle food with a jaunts and weary grin. A gaunt procession shuffled along, man, woman, sunk-eyed child, like a sow devouring her farrow. Her eyes were wide and wild. Her work went on and on into the night. The moon rose in the dead sky, guttering a torn moth light. The moon it hung, a plucked out eye, and her work went on and on. Her feeding was swift now, as swallows before a storm. At last, no tears. Her tears were gone, and now her work was done. She hugged herself shivering, huddled cold and dumb. Then with her nails she raked her face, until she drew blood, and then she tore her barley hair in ragged clumps with bits of scalp in clotted lumps until her skull was bare. And in her grief the giantess laid on the earth and died. No living thing was left there, but dust and sand and stillborn air. For age on age the addled air, and the rocks beside. Time blinked, and in the distance I saw a whirling wind. Far out on the horizon I saw a whirling wind, and I could hear a little thing, full-hearted like a wren, deep in the swirling of the storm, a droplet diadem. There somewhere inside the wind, a ripple in the light, like a mirage, like water's fire, a whirlpool of the night. Stepping from the spinning winds, the twisting sands and dust, a tiger walked and padded forth, singing a dawn chorus. The tiger padded through the waste, his shimmering sides aglare, singing a mournful elegy of what had gone before. Such a song I never heard, or ever will again, like the lonely voice of a green plover or longed for summer rain. And then I saw a precious thing, for where his footprints lay grew up some white dead nettle, like the dawning of the day. And with his song of sweet lament, a mourned for long dead choir, new living things sprung from the earth, a birch bark kindling fire. I saw the place where the roebuck lay, I heard the vixens cry, and I marked a flock of jackdaws across the southern sky. Yellowhammer, woodlark, grey partridge and quail were calling from the grasses, the cocksfoot and foxtail. The eel within the spring pool curled in its bed of leaves, and silver-washed fritillaries gilded the woodland eaves. And with his song of utmost joy, hazels grew gold and green as a heron misted northwards over dew-cobwebbed hornbeams.